Well, Heavenly Father, we gather here today with heavy hearts as we remember Ruth Belle Waymire, whose life was tragically cut short and whose identity remained a mystery for so many years.
Recently, several members of Ruth's family traveled to Spokane for a memorial service 40 years after her death. None of them have ever met Ruth, who would have been 64 this year. But they knew of her tragic death and that her immediate family was splintered and had lost contact with one another. They knew Ruth had attended Rogers High School in Spokane. They knew she lived a vagabond lifestyle, spending time in Wenatchee as well as Spokane. And they learned all these years later that a Spokane woman who also never knew Ruth was spearheading an effort to put a headstone on her grave, which until now was unmarked in a potter's field at Fairmont Memorial Park.
We're so thankful to the community for all of this and for all the work that they've done and in helping raise some money to be able to do this. And then the family found me on my GoFundMe account right at the end.
And that's what brought these strangers together, a horrific murder and people stepping in to lift up the young victim, even though they never knew her.
I find comfort that Ruth has her birth name and that she's got a beautiful, fine resting place and that she knows that she was loved and she has family members that love her.
Ruth only got her name back last year after almost 4 decades known only as Millie, when the daughter of an SPD detective working the murder at the time declared, "No one deserves to not have a name." On June 20th, 1984, 2 fishermen discovered a nude female body along the south shore of the Spokane River. Her hands and feet were dismembered, and her head was decapitated. The body was never identified, and no females matching the Spokane County Medical Examiner's description were reported missing at the time of the gruesome discovery. In April of 1998, a skull was found in a vacant lot at 7th Avenue and Sherman. Investigators considered the skull may belong to the body. Again, as when the body was discovered, tips and leads poured in, but none ever led to a viable identification. An autopsy revealed that Ruth likely had a child, born a year or 2 before her death. Last year, when the medical examiner's office and Spokane police solved this human remains cold case through genetic genealogy, police learned even more about Ruth Belle Waymire. Ruth was 24 when she died and was married to her second husband, Trampus Vaughn, who was born in 1945 in Iowa and served time in prison there before coming to the Pacific Northwest. He and Ruth were married in Wenatchee. No record of a divorce between the two has been located. The identity of Ruth's child or children remains unknown as well. Vaughn died in Sutter County, California in 2017. Police have not ruled him out as a suspect, and no other suspects have been identified, including Ruth's first husband, who lived in Spokane when her identity was discovered and cooperated with the investigation. Now, with Ruth's grave marked and her relatives in the picture, there's one more step in closing this case.
I still have hope that we will put the final pieces together on who needs to be held responsible for this. I think there are people out there that know things that could talk to me about that, and we'll get there someday.
Julie Humphreys for the Spokane Police Department.